So Judy Moody and the Not a Bummer Summer is based on the best-selling, I was not familiar with it, set of books by Megan McDonald. One would think, of course, they were geared for young girls, and this movie is certainly geared for young girls. It could very easily be described as the wimpy kid for girls, and I think that's probably pretty accurate. My 9-year-old boy who saw the trailer did not want to attend the movie, so it's obvious who this movie is for. Anyway, the third grader, played by Jordana Beatty, is the Judy Moody character, and she is darned and determined to have the best summer ever. When all of her friends go to various places, like one boy goes to circus camp, another girl that is a girlfriend of hers goes to Borneo of all places, and so she is condemned to stay out her summer alone. She has one friend in her own house, and her parents even leave because they have a sick family member, and she's joined by and taken care of by Aunt Opal, who's played by Heather Graham of all people. It's kind of ironic to see Heather Graham playing Aunt Opal in a kids film, given the fact that, of course, this summer we've already seen Hangover Part 2, which she was not in the cast of, and of course she was in the cast of the original Hangover, playing anything but the sweet Aunt Opal character that she plays in Judy Moody and Not a Bummer Summer. So anyway, Aunt Opal has to help Judy Moody have a great summer, and the movie is very visual, and it will definitely appeal to younger girls, certainly third grade and even younger. So my reservations, okay? I have a problem with any movie that puts little kids in a car and doesn't put their seatbelts on. You know? I mean, there are so many scenes where the kids rattle around in the car, very much like the last Wimpy Kid movie, without seatbelts on. And I had to tell my daughter afterwards that this isn't real life. In real life, they wear their seatbelts. In the movies, apparently they don't. And that bothered me. Other than that, a lot of things are destroyed in this movie. Heather Graham is this real artistic type, and she destroys the house that they live in, which is a very sweet little house, but everything seems to get cleaned up and fixed like that, so it's a bit of a fantasy. There are some really neat casting choices. Jaleel White is in this, and he plays one of the teachers, or their teacher, and he's got a critical role in it. And Jaleel White, of course, was on Family Matters years ago, and he played Urkel. Well, he's all grown up, and he's anything but Urkel, but he still has sort of that charm that I think we liked from the television series. Creating one of probably the iconic quintessential nerd on TV. I don't know that this is a series of movies. I don't see this as a really playing big. It has a very narrow audience, and I had major reservations about the message that it was sending out when you have things like a lot of things being destroyed and not wearing your seatbelts. I hate it, but that's what I felt as a parent when I'm watching the movie going, God, you know, how hard would it have been to tell them to buckle up? You know, so those are my thoughts, but I can't say I got my fix from it either.
So you're giving it a no fix?
I'm going to give it a no fix. I really am. I think that it goes for the cutes, which is fine for the audience, but I think there's something missing from the film.
So let's try to.
It feels a lot like a Nickelodeon special movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It could have been on television. I hate it, but that's how I felt about it walking out.
Well, you mentioned Wimpy Kid.
Mm-hmm.
We both gave a fix to Diary of a Wimpy Kid, the first one, and I think we both gave a no fix to Roderick Rules, the sequel, right? And so is it more on the Roderick Rules level?
It is. You know, they go for crude, cheap jokes that appeal to a more broad kid-like spectrum, kind of a low common denominator stuff. Like there's one scene where, I don't know, Bigfoot is constantly a theme in the movie, and there's Bigfoot poo supposedly in the movie, and then there's this car chase, and you know, it's like a bunch of stuff that was unnecessary because the Judy Moody character, and I mentioned her earlier, they say introducing Jordana Beatty, she is very good. She's very sweet. My daughter said that she looked a lot like Beezus, the Beezus movie. My daughter liked that. But my daughter liked the movie. But you know, she's the target audience. But the parents are going to be sitting there too, and they're going to have reservations. I think particularly about what I had talked about earlier. So you know, this is an interesting market because these are movies that are being made on TV, but they take a popular series and they expect it to have a franchise in the theater. And I think that it's not going to work. That's my feeling.
All right, so we get a no fix on Judy Moody.
That's right. But our last movie this week is Beginners, and it's something special. I'll tell you what it's about.
Arthur, you're coming to live with me now, okay? That's the bathroom. This is the living room. This is the dining room where people come and eat sometimes. Look, it's lonely out here, so you better learn how to talk with me.
Beginners is directed by Mike Mills, who gave us 2005's Thumbsucker, a movie that I thought was just really good. That movie was small and very personal. This film is probably one of the more personal films that any filmmaker could ever do, because it is a representation of the continuing conversation that the director was having with his father, his own father, when his own father died. And let me explain. On a plot level, you have Oliver, played by Ewan McGregor, who one would assume is the Mike Mills character, and you have Hal, played by Christopher Plummer, who would be Mike Mills' father in real life. At age 75, Hal loses his wife after being married for 44 years. His wife and Oliver's mother dies of cancer. Well, at that point, Hal decides to come out of the closet at age 75. He then lives a very flamboyant gay lifestyle. And Oliver just doesn't know how to react to this. At one hand, Oliver's very tolerant, and he wants his father to be happy. On the other hand, he's very conflicted, and he doesn't know whether or not his father's losing his mind or what. And so the movie jumps around a lot in time, because in the present that's represented in the movie, Hal has now also died of cancer, and Oliver is alone. And he's thinking back on all these experiences with his father. He's also thinking back on the experiences that he had with his mother and the interaction with his mother and his father. He's naturally grappling with a lot of questions, existential questions. Who am I? And that kind of thing. In the present, Oliver finds a love interest in an actress, a French actress, who floats in and out of LA where Oliver lives. Oliver's an artist, just like Mike Mills. Mike Mills is a graphic artist. One of his more recent works is the Beastie Boys cover for the latest Beastie Boys album. Anyway, he's grappling with his own professional identity, and he's thinking back on his relationship with his father, and he's grappling with that identity as well. Beginners is a very layered and complex film. It has a great visual scope, and I highly recommend it. I think that above all, we get to see one of the older actors working today that is delivering, in Christopher Plummer, delivering one of his best performances, but delivering consistent performances. We're going to see him in the Dragon Tattoo film, delivering these high performances at his age, and it is a real joy to watch. So I recommend Beginners.
So it sounds like you gave a fixed rating to Beginners.
Yeah, Beginners. You have to know who you are. Okay, It has a gay theme to it. There's all of that going on. So there are going to be a certain segment that isn't going to be receptive to it. But of course, in these days, it's a very common theme. But it approaches it from a different angle, and to see Christopher Plummer and Ewan McGregor, because Ewan McGregor is every bit as equal in the movie, but the attention is going to be on Plummer. I think he's going to get an Oscar nomination for this role. I can't imagine him not.
Isn't it interesting that we're in summer and we've already had a handful of really small movies that have caught our attention?
Yeah.
Submarine, Beginners, Midnight in Paris. Summer is changing. It's much more diverse than it used to be.
Well, and if you look at the character-driven films that we're about to see, we're going to see Conan the Barbarian. We're going to see Captain America. We're going to see Green Lantern. All of those are male-driven, very macho films, and we're going to see that. And we're also going to see something called Rise of the Apes. We're going to all these big movies. It's good to have that counter-programming.
Absolutely.
And Beginners is certainly that. So I give it a fixed rating. Well, we have struggled through all these movies, and we have completed another episode of the Film Fix, and we thank you for joining us. As always, you can join us on the web by going to dailyfilmfix.com, where you can feed your movie addiction.